welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to have you here with me for another video. I'm so excited to be making another video. As some of you may have noticed, I have been gone from YouTube for a little over 3 months. I know, that's crazy. Like, girl, get it together. But as I was thinking of a way to explain my absence to my YouTube family, I just figured, girl, why not just be real and tell them the truth? The truth is that I fell off. Your girl lost structure, lost discipline, and in turn, everything went down the way. But I have been slowly building my discipline back, putting myself back on the right track, and that is what I want to talk about in today's video: rebuilding yourself and romanticizing discipline all over again. So like I was saying, I kind of fell out of my routine for a few months, and one thing that has taught me is that when my routine slips, I just do not feel like myself. I realized that structure is where my identity lives. First, let's talk about what happens when you lose structure. When you lose structure, emotions start driving the day. When you have structure, you move based on decisions that you've already made in advance. For example, going to the gym, studying, following my content calendar, meal prepping. Those are all things that I stick to when I have structure because I've already embedded them into my life. I've already included them into my day. I've already decided these are things that I want to do, that I have to do in order to make my life happy, in order to make me better. When you don't have structure, you move based on how you feel. For example, if I'm too tired or not feeling it, then I'm skipping the gym. Or if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I find myself doom scrolling when there are way more productive things that I could be doing with my time to make future me's life better. Structure protects you from emotional impulsivity, and without it, your day just feels so reactive. Next, I want to talk about distractions. And when it comes to distractions, they can feel completely harmless at first. It never starts off dramatic. It's like that one quiet, sneaky, problematic person that we all know in our lives. It feels like just one night staying up late, just missing one workout. I'll film next week. I'll pray later. And suddenly, 2 months pass by and you're asking yourself where the time went. Distractions don't show up looking destructive. They show up looking comforting. And that's what makes them dangerous, and not in a good way. Because the more I leaned into comfort, the less I craved discipline. And I started noticing that I wasn't getting satisfaction from growth anymore. I was getting it from emotional highs. Dopamine replaces discipline. When your life has structure, your dopamine comes from things like checking things off your to-do list, progress, growth, consistency. And when structure slips, dopamine comes from things like attention, comfort, conversation, emotional intensity. When I noticed this, I realized that I was feeding off emotional highs instead of consistency. And when you get used to emotional highs, discipline starts to feel quiet and even boring. And I think that I lost my tolerance for that quiet. So instead of going to the gym, instead of filming, instead of sitting down to pray, I just kept choosing the easier option. And that is when I noticed that I wasn't just distracted, I was avoiding myself. When you fall out of routine, you subconsciously start avoiding things that would expose that you're off. I started avoiding the gym because it reminded me that I've been inconsistent. I avoided the camera because it reminded me that I don't even feel aligned. I avoided prayer and opening my Bible because I felt disconnected. I even started avoiding certain people because I felt like they could see my lack of structure. And honestly, it just felt really embarrassing for me. So instead of leaning into the discomfort, I started telling myself that I just wasn't ready yet. I wasn't ready to come back. I wasn't ready to start back going to the gym. I wasn't ready to start getting myself back on track. I kept thinking to myself, I'll get back on track when I'm more motivated. But like I've told y'all before, motivation is like that party friend that's always there when things are good and fun. But when you get stuck in the trenches of comfort, motivation is nowhere to be found. There is no perfect time and there is no magical moment where you'll wake up and be more disciplined. You build discipline by moving before you feel ready. Now that we've talked about what it's like when you lose structure, I want to share some of the ways that I have been getting myself back on track and rebuilding my discipline. Number one is to shrink the restart. Okay, when you start trying to get yourself back on track, your ego is going to want you to start at 100%. It's going to want you to start by doing all of the things: waking up early, meal prepping, making it to the gym, eating right, going to bed on time, stop scrolling. And that's cool, but your brain will get overloaded and you will end up right back at step one. Trust me, I know, I've tried it. You don't need 100%, you just need movement. For example, start with a 20-minute workout instead of a full program, or a quick quiet time Bible study, or picking out one video instead of planning your whole content calendar. Momentum creates motivation, not the other way around. Number two is to pick one non-negotiable anchor. One habit becomes the anchor that pulls everything else back in. For me, that was committing to working out 3 times a week, no matter how I felt. When I was able to keep one promise to myself daily, that's when I began to start trusting myself again, and I was able to build more habits on top of those habits that I had already started. Number 3 is to stop asking how you feel. Feelings don't get a vote on my schedule anymore. If I waited until I felt ready, then I would honestly still be waiting. My feelings are valid, but they are not in charge. When I act disciplined, I start seeing myself as more disciplined. I don't wake up feeling like that girl. I become her by acting like her. Number 4 is set yourself up to win. I realized that I was trying to depend on inspiration instead of preparation. And like I said before, that is inconsistent. Preparation is dependable. I don't prepare for the version of me that feels inspired. I prepare for the version of me that feels tired. For me, that looks like meal prepping on Sundays so that I can avoid eating out, laying my clothes out at night so I can be sure that I'm looking my best daily, or setting up my workstation ahead of time so that when it's time to lock in, everything is already ready. Future me shouldn't have to fight through chaos just to get things done. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do something, it's about designing your life so that the right decision is also the easiest decision. When I make life easier for me, I start learning to trust myself again. And self-trust is something that I lost when I fell out of structure. When I'm spiritually aligned, disciplined, and intentional, I'm calmer, I'm clearer, I make better decisions, and that is the version of me that I'm choosing to return to. And that is all that I have for you guys today. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment one habit that you are going back to this week. I can't wait to hear from you guys, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye!